Welcome to What's News, the fortnightly science magazine brought to you by Xplore Science Discovery Centre. Oh, sorry. Last time we reported on the story emerging from the Large Hadron Collider at CERN that a particular type of subatomic particle was behaving in a way that was unexplained by the current standard model of physics. Josh told you to watch this space, and of course you probably didn't. So we've done that for you. It turns out that other groups from around the globe in the last couple of weeks are now reporting unusual behaviour, but this time of a different kind by the same unruly particle. So we thought we'd explain what this might actually mean in terms of our overall understanding of nature. The particle in question is called a muon. It's very similar to an electron, only it's around 200 times more massive. They're actually very unstable in nature, and they only exist for an incredibly short amount of time, around 2 millionths of 1 second. But importantly, although they don't last long, they're being created all the time and all around us. So their effect is actually rather significant. If the results are confirmed, then two fundamental things could change within the field of physics. A new particle might need to be added to the standard model we currently have, and/or the existence of a new type of force would need to be considered. I'm sure you've all heard of dark matter, that mysterious stuff that we are sure is all around us, but we just can't detect it. Well, a new particle might just be the breakthrough needed to understand it better. And similarly, a new force might help explain the dark energy that seems responsible for the accelerating expansion of the universe. Results are still being analysed, so we'll keep a track of this story for you until it's either disproved or until we all get bored of it. A group of researchers in the US have developed some of the strangest creatures ever. These clumps of cells, called xenobots, have been created from frog skin cells. When scientists recovered small clumps of skin cells from frog embryos, the cells organised themselves into balls and started to reproduce and grow. 3 days later, the xenobots started to swim. Frog skin cells have hair-like structures called cilia on their surface, and these are normally used to repel pathogens and spread mucus around. On the xenobots, however, the cilia allowed them to start moving around. Once the xenobots could start moving, they were found to be able to navigate around mazes, as well as collect debris into small piles and heal themselves if they were injured in any way. For organisms without nerve cells or brains, they have shown an amazing ability to move, grow, and change. The bundle of cells have even been seen to survive almost 10 days without food. But when the cells were fed, they grew and changed into strange balloon-like structures. What these xenobots could be used for is anybody's guess, but they do present strange, new and bizarre possibilities. This Monday, April the 12th, was International Day of Human Flight and marks the 60th anniversary of the exploits of perhaps the bravest man in scientific history. Aside from being crazy enough to ride... Sorry, I'm just wondering, did I put his name in here? I haven't. I haven't put Yuri Gagarin's name in here. Right, I'll throw it in somewhere. Yeah. And marks the 60th anniversary of the exploits of perhaps the bravest person in scientific history, Yuri Gagarin. Aside from being crazy enough to ride a repurposed intercontinental ballistic missile into orbit and back, his unusual sense of humour is also to be admired. He landed in an unmarked field wearing his spacesuit and was initially met by a 5-year-old girl and her grandmother, who weren't even sure he was human. He didn't help matters much himself when they asked him where he'd come from. He replied, "I came from the sky." Environmentally, plastics have long been known as extremely damaging to the environment. Not only are they derived from the fossil fuels industry, but we are all aware of the lasting damage to wildlife they can cause, among many other hazards. This is an area that scientists are continually exploring in order to produce replacement materials that are more environmentally friendly, yet still mechanically strong and cheap. But the fact that we still use so much plastic today shows just how difficult this can actually be. An interesting story from the University of Maryland recently describes how waste material from the wood industry has been used to produce a contender. This field of research is not new, but in order to achieve suitable materials, often the use of harmful chemicals and the cost of production has been a huge barrier to useful materials. This team used wood powder discarded from lumber mills, and they deconstructed it down to the nanoscale, where celluloses and lignins materials give it remarkable strength. The product can be casted and moulded just like plastic can. It can hold liquids, can be made cheaply, and is strong, all of these properties that make plastic so popular. However, unlike normal plastics, if this material ends up discarded, it fully degrades within 3 months and it's easy to recycle. The French National Centre of Scientific Research has used data from the last 20 years to estimate that about 5,200 tonnes of micrometeorites land on the surface of planet Earth every year. That's about the equivalent of 52 blue whales falling from space every year. Micrometeorites are dust particles from comets and asteroids that Earth passes by every day. These particles are actually incredibly small, usually between about 1/10 and 100th of a millimetre across. Many scientists believe that these micrometeors were very important in seeding the early Earth in water and carbonaceous molecules, both of which are incredibly important for life. Hang on. And finally, a visitor from the Arctic Circle has been spotted off the coast of Pembrokeshire. Wally, an Arctic walrus, has turned up 1,000 miles from home. In his 4-week reign of terror, he's so far capsized a dinghy, had a sleep on an RNLI slipway and hitchhiked on several passing ships. He was first spotted in County Kerry and has now made his way to the Welsh coast. He joins an illustrious cast of Arctic residents that have ended up on the coast of the UK, including a beluga whale off Gravesend in Kent and 2 narwhals in the Thames and Medway Canal.